Halo, in my opinion, is how a video game story should be executed, or at least close to it. It's Tech, and this is GVN. Let's rock. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the channel. This is GVN, where we review movie series, comics, animations, and you know it, video games. And today it's a video game one. It's Halo. This is a completion to the very first one that I did. So I did a pilot review right up here, and right now I am doing a compilation for the rest. Now Halo finished about, I think, 3 weeks ago, and right now I think it's a good time to break down some things, which of course will include some spoilers, but then these are things that I think really sold the story to me. Now, if you remember from my very first review for the series, I mentioned that while I play a lot of video games, I've not played this one. I played a little bit of it, but not as much, because I'm not much of a PC gamer or an Xbox gamer. I play more on the PlayStation, and this is a Microsoft exclusive game. That's what the Halo franchise is. But then I remember watching the pilot, and I really did enjoy it. So continuing it was a no-brainer for me. And continuing it, we get to see some really nice dialogue between the characters. First and foremost, it was between Dr. Halsey and Cortana. And this was the Cortana whom she had cloned from herself before we get to see the AI Cortana. That conversation was just really nice. Her talking about what the program is like and the kind of progress that is being made now. I really liked the writing in this entire series. The dialogue between the characters, the exposition was really neat. It was really nice. I was like, yes, this story is enough to hook in a non-gamer, a non-action sci-fi kind of person, because the story is about humanity and what certain things mean to certain characters and how that entire story progresses was just something that I think they really nailed with this series. The Spartans understanding the fact that they did not have their memories was very pivotal in this entire story. I mentioned it earlier in the pilot review, and of course it was clear with the way the pilot had been set up that this was going to play a major role in the entire story going forward, and play a major role it did, because we see that the more Master Chief touched the rock, the more, or the artifact, the more he knew about his past, the more he wanted to know, and the less control the military had over him. So he was no longer this robotic automaton type person in a human. Instead, he was more human than mercenary, than robot. And that was something that I truly appreciated about the story, because the progression was very organic. The action also was brilliant. I really did like the action. I remember some of the scenes. I mean, funny enough, there were some episodes. I think episode 2 or 3 wasn't very action heavy, but then the plot was really good because there were just so many characters to dig from and tell their stories and give some sort of exposition and talk about what motivated them, that I really could resonate with. And I understood this fact that the writers and the directors and the team behind this put in a lot of work. So I was happy. I think before binging the remaining episodes, I was really happy when I saw that season 2 had been greenlit, because I was like, yes, it deserves a second season. I think it was really good. And going back to the action, there were times when I was watching and they deliberately switched to a sort of first-person view, and it looked like this was a video game. I think that was really neat. That was really cool. With the VFX and fighting against the Covenant, all of it was just seamlessly done. That I liked it. I really liked it, and it just felt so good. I had this really feel-good vibe about the entire story. Master Chief understanding more about his past, and then finding out that Halsey kidnapped him and a couple of other children, and this was how the Spartan program was created. And then it was like an onion, and they were just peeling off different layers, especially for the Halsey character, because Dr. Halsey, in my opinion, is the villain of this entire story. Yes, the Covenant are some crazy aliens that want to wipe out the entire human race and want to do whatever they want. And yeah, they killed Kwan's family in their planets and all that. And I'm going to talk about Kwan in a bit. But then, while we know the Covenant are a threat and they are the reason for the dope action, right? And again on the action, the fact that also in the game with the little that I played, I remembered clearly that you can shoot with your normal human gun, but then when you kill an alien, you can actually take their weapon. And some of their weapons have the previous effect. Some that are like neo guns, and then when they hit a person or hit the surface, they explode. And all these things were portrayed faithful to the games in the series. I really like this. See, I know that there are people that hate the series because of that whole memory thing and maybe a couple of other things, but you've got to admit that the aspects of the game that they got right, they really did get them right. At least that much I would say, because like I said, I did not play part 1, part 2, part 3. I think there's a part 4 too. I did not play all of those parts. I think I only played the first part, and I did not even go that far in the first part. So I can't really speak to the game. But then, from something that was inspired by the game, as a series, as a story, it did really well, in my opinion. And for all the different characters too that you see, the way all of them play into the scene, I think all of them had something to deliver. Well, all of them except one, Kwan. I hated that character. If that was the plan of the writers, they nailed it. I did not think that character needed to exist beyond maximum episode 2. The fact that I think it was the whole of episode 7 was dedicated to her, I did not think that episode needed to exist. Till now, yes, while they've done something with a character and they made it look like a character comes from this lineage of people that know about it well, and if the people of that land are truly free, then the world will reveal its purpose or whatever the heck it is. I don't think a character was needed. Like that. Like I said earlier, maybe they deliberately did it. But see, there was a time when I was watching this, I think it was maybe in episode 3 or episode 4, and this was for a series that I was anticipating each episode. I was anticipating each scene. For any new scene that came, I was like, okay, I like this. This adds to the story in this layer, in this dimension. This is the progress. Everything is going. It's smooth. But every time that I saw this girl, it was just digging for me. Like, I think it was somewhere in episode 3 or episode 4 that I was like, yeah, it's official. This girl angers me. Like, this girl truly irritates me. I don't want to see a character on screen. So the fact that they dedicated an entire episode to her was just, really, I hated it. I did not like that part. So if I was going to say what was a major letdown or a major point in this entire series that felt like a weak link, Kwan's story arc is a weak link for me in this series. I did not like her character. I didn't like her arc. Maybe later on, somewhere in season 2 or season 3, they would make her character act a bit more mature, and maybe there will be a purpose to her story. But as far as today is concerned and season 1 is concerned, I did not see her purpose. She did not need to have so much screen time. See, there was a time when I was watching it and I was like, I think Master Chief should have just killed her in episode 1 like the ordered him to do, and then we'll know that we are done with the story. And Master Chief will feel bad, but then we'll move on. That's how I felt, because it just felt like a waste of time, in my opinion. But see, when you talk about Halsey, when you talk about Cortana, and now I'm talking about Cortana the AI. So Cortana the AI and her interaction with Master Chief was just so brilliant. It was so beautiful, because it's crazy, because this is a human being that created an AI to learn from humans so that she can be more efficient in her duties, right? So we have that on one hand. So that's Halsey creating Cortana. And then we find out that at the end, it was the AI that was more human than the creator. Because, the relationship between Cortana and Master Chief was just one that was beautiful to watch. Because this was an AI that he realized that she has access to his brain, she has access to his memory, she has access to a lot of things, and it felt invasive for him. And when he went to meet the rest of his team, the Spartans, and they had a nice heart-to-heart moment, and they were all like, they trust him. And he was just about to leave, and then Cortana pops up, and he was like, "Hi there, my name is Cortana. This is that." And he was like, "What are you doing here? Go away, go away." It felt truly invasive. It was like she was really in his space and in his way, and he did not really like that. So he just told her, shut up, like, don't come out, don't talk, don't whatever. And Cortana too was like, she's the AI, but also learns to be more human in a way. So she also has feelings. So she felt kind of hurt by his dismissive behavior, right? But at the same time, she was trying to respect his wishes too. So, the banter between the two of them occasionally was really nice. There was a time when he was trying to find out his planet, where it comes from, because he got more visions after touching the artifact. Then she was like, I can help you, right? Because I have a database of this. Just tell me what you're looking for based on certain parameters. And her becoming more useful to him over time was one that was nice, because their bond was beginning to deepen. But then when they finally touched, so when they got to his own planet, and he was remembering stuff, and then he remembered that he met Catherine Halsey, when he was much younger. He was like, this isn't that enough. And I'll say that was a bit of a little jarring moment for me, because even if it was, say, maybe I think they were kidnapped when they were like between the ages of 10 to 12, and maybe also the earliest she would have been was maybe 18 or 19, right? Because that was around the time she was also she was married to the general, or is it the admiral, ex-husband, and then let's just say she was having a baby. I just felt like they should have casted someone else as younger Halsey, because in real life the age difference between the two people that played the characters isn't that wide, so that was a bit jarring for me. But that aside, understanding the importance of that to the story was much more important. So focusing on that, him now seeing her in his parents' house when he was much younger, and then him remembering more stuff outside the projections created by Cortana of his house, which now led to the bigger artifacts, and he touched it and remembered exactly what happened, that he was kidnapped by Halsey from his parents' home, and then he was so pissed off that he launched at her. But then when he launched at her, Cortana shut him down, and that part was like all the trusts or whatever relationship between him and Cortana just went down the tubes, down the drains, and game over. And then what was fun was it did not end there. Master Chief made it clear that he's not important. That yes, you put this AI in my brain, right? But I'm not important, because you saw that sequence, and if you not watched it yet, there was this very fun, crazy sequence where he realized that, okay, this is what you've done. She has power to shut me down, right? Great. And then he created a sort of fail-safe while he was narrating some stuff about how the scientists that created it, do you know how he died? And the fail-safe that he failed to create, even with all the other fail-safes that he created. But at the end of the day, the bottom line was, Halsey was a second close to being liquefied. And like, she was like, you could see in her eyes, like, I think it was the first and only time in the entire series where she was not in control of the situation, and she was legit scared of dying. And that was crazy. And the only person that brought her to that point was a pissed off Master Chief. Like, it was like Cortana was to tell him that he can't do that, blah blah blah, but it was like, it's going to happen. She's going to die because she eroded my trust in her. And in the last second, yes, he saved her life. But then he made it clear that he wanted to see just how much control she had over him at that point in time. So yes, she can shut him down, but Cortana did not have control of his activities yet. And that was something that he wanted to find out. And I think that was really, really smart writing. On the part of the writers, it was well done, because, like I said, the entire pace of this series was something that I really, really liked. The relationship between Halsey and her daughter, you could tell that at this point, Halsey was not human anymore. She was just all about her end game. She's talking about humans as a species. The evolutionary process already sets us up for failure, so we need next level stuff, and that's why she believes the Spartans and the artifacts, these are the key to unlocking the next level of human evolution. So you see, it's crazy that Halsey as a sort of non-emotional. It's very non-emotional, and it's a relationship where she sees her daughter Miranda as honestly like a character that doesn't matter. I mean, it's crazy because also is so out of touch with being human that she does not care who she hurts, who she uses to get to her end goal. I mean, you can tell by that what and heart to heart that she had with her daughter, well, heart to heart in quotes, and then she was just using it to scan her daughter's eye in order to get access to her daughter's files. Like that was just like that was insane, And finding out that okay, John Master Chief is not the only one that can access the artifact, but Maki, who now ended up being his love interest too, can access the artifact. And at that point in time, she was like, well, she no longer needs John because it was established that if Cortana is in charge of John, he can't relate to the artifact. It needs to be John himself. So it has something to do with his mind and his emotions too. But finding out that Maki can also do it, trying to corrupt Maki, it was just crazy on its own. And speaking of Maki's character arc, I think her character arc was quite unfortunate because being born and being an orphan and the first boy whom she cared about being murdered and then being raised by the Covenant, but then of course, which was clear to me that she was only just being used by the Covenant. When the other Titans, Reese and Bannock, were following Ozzy's order of Line and Sinker, and they decided to, because she realized that Kai was not following her orders, so they handcuffed Kai and then wanted to fight Master Chief. It's funny because John was not in his Spartan gear, fair enough, but at the same time, he did not want to harm them too. So that fight it seemed like something that was going to be very one-sided. But then, thanks to Cortana at the last moment telling him exactly what was going to happen and helping him out through the fight, and then Kai coming eventually to help, they were able to overcome. But then you realize that at this same time, Maki, who was not being trusted anymore, I mean, whose situation had changed from one where she was being protected by them to one where they realized that she was the reason why that ship was killed, because Miranda eventually decoded her voice as the person who gave the orders, who talked on the ship. It was sad in Maki's case because she truly had changed. And it was thanks to John, thanks to her relationship with John. But of course, there was that complicated situation from her past. And I think all of it would have been sorted if she had just come out with it, told them that this is exactly what went down. But of course she didn't, and then it's all for the sake of a good story anyway, so it's fine. Because she didn't, and then this happened, and she just went berserk on all of them, and she left with the Covenant ship. So now we get to the finale, and I think something I liked about the finale, it was a part that was shown in the first trailer, right, when the Spartans dropped out of their helicarrier. I like that part because the finale was mostly a Spartan fest, and it was really fun watching the Spartans. Like I said about the combat earlier, it was so much fun to watch them just wreck shop. It was so good. I know there was about last scene in episode 5. I said episode 5, episode 5. That felt like a video game because yes, the action was there and everything was there and the first person shooting was there. But then remember there was when they were fighting for the artifact and John chose to save Kai instead of going straight to the ship with the artifact. The one of the aliens, a very big Covenant alien, dropped from the ship. He had his sort of like sledgehammer, right? And then all I was just saying was boss fight, because that was what it looked like. It was now going to be Master Chief versus the guy, and then it was like they were now having a sort of repeat battle because they did not really fight in episode 5, so it was like a repeat battle in the finale. I really like that. I liked a lot of things about this series. And one thing that I would say was a con for me though was I don't think Maki should have died. I think it just felt sort of off. Because yes, of course, Cortana had to take control of Master Chief because it's been established that when Cortana is in charge, Master Chief will not interact with the artifact. So yes, that had to happen and that was how the series ended. Well, I can understand that. But I felt like that ending with Maki dying shouldn't have happened. I sincerely hope she's not dead. I know this is maybe wishful thinking, but then I really hope she appears in season 2 but then it's just she'll just need to find out that the Covenant wanted to kill her all along, because that much was established. Because when the aliens, when the Covenant were talking about it, I thought maybe in some form or the other she would hear. Because now I'm like, what's the point in her dying? That's Sky killing her. If the Covenant mentioned that they were going to betray her, they were going to sacrifice her and kill her. So why was that line used? And with what I have seen in this entire series up until that point, nothing was just said for the sake of saying it. For example, when Halsey mentioned how the kids were kidnapped and replaced, right? They were replaced with inferior versions that will die in like 2 weeks or so, and then they'll just call the death as something bogus and everybody goes about their day. Remember, when Halsey was captured, she wasn't captured, because at the end of the day, Miranda was first to figure it out, and she was asking Halsey's clone, now where is my mother? Because that was a clone. Even though the clone was looking like the person that escaped, all tattered up and dirty when she was arrested. So that's the thing. So nothing in this entire series was mentioned as just something that you say in passing. It was mentioned with a purpose in mind. So that's why I truly believe that Maki is not dead. At least I'm sort of like 90% sure that Maki isn't dead. I hope that too, because I'd love to see more of that. I don't just want that story to end just by being short. I think she's also important to Master Chief's story moving forward, unless they have like a different plan for him. But they were sort of like soulmates in a way. And also it was fun seeing them like that. So yeah, I think that would just be the second con for me, that entire part. But overall, I really like this series. I had a fun time watching it, and it was when you binge episode 2 to episode 8, it's like a couple of hours, but it did not feel like wasted time to me. I liked it, and I'd absolutely recommend it as a good, fun story, one filled with action and sci-fi elements, and even something deeper on sort of like the human level, because as a human being, it's like, how much of your humanity are you willing to lose for the betterment of the species? You understand? Because that was an Halsey thing. Like I mentioned earlier, I know the Covenants are crazy and all that, but I think Halsey was like the main villain in my eyes for this entire story. That's what I truly think. So yeah, that's it about the series. I give you the pros, I give you the cons. I really enjoyed watching it, and I enjoyed doing this review like all my other reviews. I've never rated it, so if I'm going to rate it, I'm going to give it a 9 over 10. I liked it. Actually, I'm giving it an 8 because Kwan. I just remembered Kwan. Kwan is the whole -1. I did not like her in the entire series. I have nothing against the actress, clearly, but then this series gets an 8 over 10. It was fun, worth watching, and I absolutely recommend it. If you've loved this review, feel free to like, share, subscribe. It truly helps the channel out. Also, your comments are very, very important. We read, we listen, and we love to interact with you guys. Feel free to check out this video or this video next to see some of our other reviews on the channel. This has been Tech or GVN. Live long and prosper.